Good evening, everybody, and this is Alabama Blakk, and again, I'm welcoming you to Unbarred Souls. The God and the Goddess above has blessed me with the opportunity to interview the one Queen Sheba. She is truly a poetic diva. I've since the days of old, back in Mount Zion days, she was there rocking it, man. So I just got a couple of quick questions for you because I know you're a busy lady. First question.
I'm not too busy. We're sitting here at Sears waiting for my car to be fixed in Tallahassee. So I got time. I'm chilling.
Word. Okay, first question. And I know everybody probably asked you this, so it might be a little cliche, but the viewers want to know. What inspired you to become a poet, activist, / spoken word artist?
Oh, wow. Okay, long story short, I've always written, and I know that sounds cliche, that's a cliche answer, but the furthest back I remember entering a writing contest. I was 7 years old in second grade, and I lost. I was upset. I felt like I should have, you know. But, so I started, that's when I remember writing. I remember reciting my first poem without paper in the fourth grade. It was Langston Hughes, A Raisin in the Sun. I had to memorize it for a recital.
Okay.
And my father afterwards said, he said, of course, you know, I could be a little biased, but he was like, you had really good projection from the stage, and you had good stage presence. He told me this at 9. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice, you know. And then in high school and college, I just kind of journaled and always wrote poetry, not just for myself. And then in college, I went to Old Dominion University in Norfolk. We started a poetry group, and we thought we of course were the only ones in the world ever doing this, but of course we were really wrong. And that was between, that started around 96 and went to about 98, 99, and then I took over a poetry spot that this lady who was going to Norfolk State, she graduated. So what made me become a full-time artist is I was working at Bank of America since about 96 to 2001.
Okay.
And July 10th, 2001, they fired me. And at the time, I was coming into consciousness, and so I started to wear my hair in afro. I, cut my acrylic nails off. I started wearing bangles, and not really African garb, but just, more ethnic jewelry, and we started to dress in colors, and was kind of, I didn't want to leave, corporate America. That wasn't my goal, but obviously the gods had a different plan, and so I was fired then and was kind of thrusted into being a full-time artist. And I love it. I love the stage. I love writing. I love learning. I love meeting all the poets, reading poetry. I mean, it's been an amazing, amazing journey.
Hopefully you'll check some of mine out one day, and maybe one day we'll do a track or something together down the road.
Yeah, let's do is email me. I'd love to read. I love reading everybody's poetry.
Yeah, definitely. That's the bet.
Unemployment is what inspired me to be full-time.
I did a little bit of research, and I see that you're the CEO of Oya Exclusive International. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes. Oya Exclusive is a consulting firm for artists. It started off as a record label for poets, but two things. One, I know what I was doing as far as a record label. I thought just because I put out my own album, I was like, oh, I could do other people's too. Yeah, no. But then, two, found out that spoken words just doesn't have a place on the radio just yet. And enough consistency. Every now and then, like Jill Scott's first album, we all say that was a poetry album. It just so happened that she could sing her ass off. And so it was very digestible for mainstream.
Okay.
So we're grateful that she opened that door for us. But it's just not it's just not there's not a doorway yet for mainstream radio and poetry. Not yet, but we're working on it.
Yep, see, and that's one of the reasons that I'm doing Unbarred Souls, to just re-attacking from the media standpoint. We got to get video, we got to get audio, and we got to do live shows. We're going to make our way in. Spoken word is like the fraternal twin to rap and hip-hop as we know it.
I like that, fraternal twin.
Yeah, both of them born in 77. Hip-hop made them seem a lot faster than spoken word, but hey, everything has its time to grow. Now, since we're talking about music, I know that you're a music lover, especially speaking about the Jill Scott album. How do you feel music impact today's youth?
Today's music, how do I feel today's music impacts today's youth?
Right.
Horrifically. that's how I feel. Growing up, my parents were they were good parents, and they did an amazing job with sitting me down in front of after-school specials and telling me about the birds and the bees and AIDS and HIV, and I just don't. and not giving us an excuse. I think my generation, we had children really close to age in our teens and early 20s, and I think now that we're all 30 something, we're trying to not have our childhood back, but we're trying to have a little freedom because our children about in my generation are hitting college, you know, so it's almost kind of like, you know, we need some freedom, so unfortunately we end up in a club with our kids, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. And so I say all that to say that we, including myself, did not do a good job with that hand-to-hand every day. I'm going to be in the household and teach my children. The other thing about that, though, is that, and since we're just going to assume we're talking about the Black community, that the Black men decided to skate, you know, really early. So where a lot of us had both the parents in the home, our generation, we didn't keep, you know, our husbands or fathers of our children. They just didn't stay around. So there was a lot of working and schooling, and that we had to impose upon our children. And of course, we were trying to, you know, get through school ourselves. So they were left alone too much and raised by the streets and raised by the media. And we just.
Do you think that the charity is lost at home, like as far as parents coming up, starting younger, and trying to be their kids' best friends instead of still rearing them and making them basically respect rules and regulations?
Because we feel guilty, and that's what it is. We are parenting out of guilt. So we give them anything they want. I mean, I could list all the things: Xbox, shoes, clothes, whatever. One, because our parents didn't do that for us. So our parents now are 50, 60 years old.
Right.
It was a completely different generation. They ruled with a ruler. They ruled with punishment, and you had to earn everything that you got. And so we have a little more appreciation for money and for getting up and earning things. But I don't even think my son likes going outside. Like, if, you know, it's that thing. He's like, I want to be, if it's not at the gym with my homeboys, I'm in front playing, you know, the video games.
Right.
And the video game was Atari and Nintendo was a treat. It was something that you got to do for an hour with a set timer, you know, before you got to go to, and after you did your homework.
Exactly.
And after you did your homework and your homework was checked.
Exactly.
You know, so hopefully, you know, there's time left. There's always time. If the child's alive, there will always be your children. So it's not. I have the fear and anxiety that when he goes off to college, that the parenting tie kind of gets severed. That's kind of my own fear. But you know, just like we still go home and talk to our mother for advice, we will always be parents, and we need to stop parenting out of guilt, even though, you know, they're still going to respond like, well, you know, my son hangs up on me. And I mean, it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Because I think because sometimes since the parents are estranged, they get two different rules. It's like good cop, bad cop. You know, so they get two different rules. They run between parents to get whatever they need. So I just encourage young parents that if you can salvage the relationship with the father or mother, that you all at least communicate in a streamline for the children.
Word. See,
so I'm a part of this all-girl alternative rap band called Tempo 160. And this is, oh, my voice is cold, but this is a song, Give the Cracks, that I wrote because people try to tell you what to do with your life all the time. And you have to do what makes you happy. If you want to be a florist, be the best fucking florist that you want to be. If you want to be a dog walker, be the best dog walker that you want to be.
Right.
So this is called They Say. The entire extended remix. And they say, hey, don't go too far, don't go too far away, 'cause you may not find your way, not find your way back home. And they say, hey, don't go too far, don't go too far away, 'cause you may not find your way back and they say, taking out some time, noticing me, growing like them trees, changing like the leaves. Don't let them branches break beneath me, break beneath me, break beneath me. And they say, 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 hey, you ain't gonna make it. Put away your talents. Little do they know it's me behind the curtain. Go ahead and do your two-step. We run against the current. They would make records if we weren't supposed to break them. And they say, 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 don't listen to what they say, they say, say everything I want is staring back at me. Say everything I want is staring back at me. Say everything I want is staring back at me. Wait. Go ahead and blow that whistle, cause nobody asked me, nobody asked me. And they say, 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 don't listen to what they say. You have the first recording of that.
Oh my gosh! You know what? This is.
If there are any producers
oh my
out
God.
there, I have no music to that. That's what I would love, but it's got to be live. It's got to be live instruments though. It can't be the. I mean, you can email it to me like on the keyboard, but it's got to be that bass drum and that it's got to be tribal.
Man, I heard some Tracy Chapman.
Yeah.
I heard some Tracy Chapman behind that one, man. I just one last thing, man.
You're like, eh.
Oh boy, hey, this is good stuff. You guys, if you didn't go to Amen Ra Bookstore last night,
it was. I don't know how you couldn't have been there. It was packed. I'm talking about people were walking in at 11. It was
my gosh.
gangster packed in there last night.
I got my own exclusive show from Queen Sheba, and I thank you so very much. Now, in closing, tell us where we can find your spoken word CDs as well as your literary and written poetry.
Boom, yeah, I know that's right. My last two albums were up for. They were not nominated for because people were like, oh, they were up for a Grammy. And my latest album is a 3-disc completely live set of the last 10 years of poetry from Africa to Cuba to all around the United States. And it's called Sheba, just like it sounds, just like the movie. It started off as a joke on Facebook, but I really liked it. I'm in blue, so when you see the album, you're like, oh my god.
Okay.
So it's called Sheba, and then the one before that is called Domino Effect, and they are both like my favorite albums. You can find both of those and some other stuff from me on iTunes. You can always go to cdbaby.com / Queen Sheba. I'm on Reverb Nation. Everything online about me is The Queen Sheba. So if you go to MySpace, Facebook, Reverb Nation, CD Baby, Twitter, everything is The Queen Sheba. So you can find, even my website is thequeensheba.org, and the front page is advertising my latest album. So, and my literary works, I'm actually coming out with my first book ever. And very soon, like this, either late spring or the first crack of summer. I'm very, very excited about it. And it's called My Dichotomy, because it just talks about the crazy up and down, back and forth of my life. It's short stories, rants, and what you missed last night was the period poem. That joker is hilarious.
Oh wow.
So that's going to be in the book and some other stuff. So I'm very, very, very excited about my first book. And I have 7 albums in total, so you can find them on iTunes and everywhere else.